Welcome back, everybody. It's been a little while since we've really had a podcast. We've been so busy with summer activities and things like that. So right now it's just Robbie and I. Will be continuing on with the podcast for the next little while. Um, yeah, how are you, Robbie?
Doing great. It's been a pretty cool week, pretty cool summer, pretty cool month. Some of the viewers probably like, they gave up on us. They don't want to do this. No, that wasn't the case. We all had a lot of stuff going on and we couldn't coordinate our schedules. So I just want to be fully transparent there. Two, I wanted to sleep a lot during the day. And if I had to record the podcast, I couldn't sleep. I'm just kidding.
It's true. And you know what? We actually do really need to take that time to rest. And sometimes you just need to like not be apologetic about it. Like, yes, we're sorry we weren't here, but at the same time, like, man, life is exhausting sometimes, and there's so much going on that I really needed time to rest too. And these kids have me like stressed out. So I can't wait for back to
Um,
school.
that's one of the reasons I'm so glad I don't have children because I've seen the way they stress people out and
Oh yeah.
summers can sometimes be really hard. So, is there any like brilliant things that you've come up with lately, or ideas, or questions, or thought processes?
I have I've been thinking today, and I was like, you know what? When we started this podcast and when I started this journey, I really was searching for people that understood what it was that I was experiencing. I really wanted to know that I was not alone in my experiences and kind of what was happening, what was normal, what wasn't, what was common. Like I just wanted to know everything about it. So I think that I would like to kind of flash back to the beginning and kind of dive into what experiences we had that sort of led us down this path. What were essentially your, I don't know if I want to say like symptoms, but like, you know what I mean? Like, what did you experience that got you to the place of wanting to work with spirit? And yeah, so let's start with you.
Oh, with me. All
What do
right.
you say?
Well, um, honestly, you know, through all my childhood and growing up, I mean, and I know this sounds cliche and probably, whatever, but I did feel like there was something different about me because I saw things. And
Yeah.
it wasn't necessarily I saw spirits or whatever. It was like what people now would call pattern recognition or something. I knew when something was going to happen. I knew the way something would go before I started doing it, but I did it anyway, right? Just try to prove myself that wasn't it. But the older that I got, I think I talked about before that I was a member of the Southern Baptist Church until I was 14 years old. And I said, I'm not doing this anymore. Because they were telling me you don't belong here. And I said, you're right, I don't. So I left. And then for a
Yeah.
big part of my life, I spent like decades as an atheist, like not totally believing that anything was there, right? That whatever reason we're here, it was here, and once we're gone, we're gone. At that
Yeah.
point, I kind of turned into one, I guess, not necessarily a man of science, but more a man of proof, right? If something's, science, you can prove. I can see evidence of, whatever. And so the weird thing is, I started seeing things, hearing things, having prophetic dreams, uh, realized I needed to meditate, meditating and the weird things coming through, right? And so things started changing, and I started realizing, there might be something, some reason
Robbie,
why
I'm
I'm
so sorry.
always.
Carry this conversation. I have a screaming.
No, go ahead, go
You
ahead. So, and I would just keep saying, what am I doing? I was confused. I didn't know what was going on. So that went on for a while. Uh, and I was still kind of fighting it because I didn't have evidence that what was going on was going on. I mean, yeah, it was things like synchronicities and
I'm sorry.
numbers and stuff like that that I was seeing that was kind of telling me that, but it was also feeling people's thoughts, and seeing things around them and things like that. And so the really the thing that started getting me deeper into this was my niece had died, and I was really thinking one day about her energy, right? Because I kept feeling like I felt her around me. And then when I started thinking about energy, I started thinking about physics, and one of the basic principles of physics being you cannot create energy nor destroy it, right? It just transfers into different things, and got me thinking about life after death. And once I started really doing that, things started opening more for me. Still not at a level where I was ready to show other people,
Yeah.
but the defining factor for me was when I had a heart attack and literally was 30 seconds away from death. Maybe I did die. I don't know. But since that day, everything changed. It was like a conduit opened up to spirit and my abilities that I didn't know existed, right? And so I felt really alone, felt really crazy, felt like people were going to call me names, more names than I had before. And so it was scary. And I just, even though I had people around me, I was alone. I had nobody to talk to that wouldn't make fun of me for it, right? So I just
Right.
kept keeping it to myself. And I went and saw a medium, one of the very first mediums I ever saw. And immediately she said, "You think something's happened with you?" She said, "Things are opening up, aren't they?" And I was like, "Yeah." So we had this discussion that kind of opened my abilities even more. And then I started reading tarot intuitively and channeling my own guides and not realizing what they were. Um, and then started realizing what they were. It was just one of those things where, like I said, I've taught myself most everything. Um,
Mhm.
but when the other point it changed for me was when I got attuned to Reiki. And when I got attuned to Reiki, it really opened up my connection. And since that time, it's just been nonstop, learning and learning and trying to help people and teaching. And so it was a while. It took a while to happen to where I was really comfortable with it. But I've been doing it for a while now, and I
Yeah.
love it. But one thing I would say for those people out there that are just discovering what they can do or have questions about it is it is really hard to try to get through it alone. To think that because there are a lot of places, especially in the US, where people aren't going to look at it and treat you kindly about it. So people don't want to talk about it. And so they walk through life confused. So just know there are places like Lara and I, and places like this you can go to get support and know there are other people out there that are going through this.
And, development never really ends, but going back, I know you talked a lot about number synchronicities that you've seen. Now, this is probably like the most common thing I hear people say is they see number synchronicities, right? When we see number synchronicities, I'm interested to know your personal opinion of what that meant for you when you've seen it. How did you know that that had something to do with spirit and not just a coincidence?
I didn't for a while. I really didn't. I would look at the client, and still sometimes I do because one of my favorite things, one of the things I tell people is not everything's a sign. Sometimes it's just information. Sometimes it's just something to see, right? Um, but at first, I would see things like 1111 or 111, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. I keep doing the same thing every day. Every time I look at the clock, I keep seeing the same number. That's really cool, right? Until
Hmm.
one day, again, back then, I was looking online like a video or something, and it was like, do you keep seeing these numbers? I was like, actually, you know what? I do. And I started looking more into them and started paying attention to when the numbers were coming up, right? Just looking at the clock and seeing them, okay, I mean, yeah. But if it was the same time every single day, or every time there was a thought in my mind, that number would come up, then I would think, okay, there's something deeper into this. And it would start moving to there's somebody trying to send me a signal. There's somebody trying to send me signals here. So one of the other things that really helped me start understanding spirituality more was talking about my niece. When I bought my house with my ex-husband, there was a tree in the yard that was a magnolia tree, and but it wasn't a tree. It was just like a branch a trunk that was sticking up out of the ground. And the realtor had said that the owners told them that it had died a while ago, and they were trying to bring it back and just couldn't have any luck with it. So I decided to spread some of my niece's ashes around that tree, and it started growing. It really started growing. And it was just one of those things that kind of showed me, hey, maybe there is more to this.
All right. So I'm glad that you shared that. I know that that's one of the things that um, I've experienced, and everyone, it's so subjective to what you experience when it comes to those number synchronicities and whatnot. Um, Going into that, did you experience a lot of clairvoyance yourself?
Not at
Or how
first.
did you decipher the messages that were coming through? Was that just like with development that carried on, or?
It was development because I mean, at first it really felt like my own thoughts, right? And what I mean by that is, um, I would have something come to me like out of the blue, like crystal grids. When I first started receiving crystal grids downloaded to me, and I would draw them out, and I'd be like, "That's really interesting. I wonder why I was thinking about this." And then I would start getting messages, but I thought it was just thoughts, like random thoughts popping into my head, like tomorrow at 2:30, be sure to whatever. Actually there was one case where it said, no, tomorrow at 2:30, make sure when you leave the house to turn off the candle, right? To blow out the candle. I'm not even on
Mhm.
what the hell. And I'd find myself the next day leaving the house about 2:30 and having to go back to it because I had to remember I had to blow out the candle. Right. So, and I was thinking, why was I thinking that before? I mean, that's just interesting, right? So I
Mhm.
did not realize what they were at first,
Yeah.
until I really started paying attention, started learning about what is going on with me. And honestly, I started doing it through YouTube videos and just through articles online. This was before really TikTok took off, or all of that. So it was just researching and asking questions because I just felt that there was something changing in me, that I was connecting to something. Okay. I didn't have any proof. I didn't have anybody come out of the blue and say, "Ooh, Robbie, this is what you're doing," until I trusted myself enough to know that that's what was going on. Now, some people who don't do this may look at that and say, "Oh, so you decided to be delusional and you talked yourself into it." Okay, well, if that's the way you look at it, fine, but it worked. I mean, I'm connected. So, sometimes it's just trusting that something is going on and digging deeper into it, asking the questions that need to be asked.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I am also going back a little bit to what you said at the beginning, like you had went and seen a medium, and that kind of really got the ball rolling for you because I feel like that was confirmation that it wasn't just in your head and it wasn't crazy. And I know so many people actually need to hear it from somebody else, especially from like, a spiritual standpoint, to know that like it's not just happening to you and that like there's a reason for it. So going back to a little bit in my story was that was one of the things that really helped me. Like I was thinking I was a little bit crazy. Like, what's going on? Do I need to get help? Like, and then hearing it like go on actually made me understand that I wasn't crazy and that this was somebody else was confirming to me what I had been through, right? So that was really helpful. Um, so to go back to my situation, when I first started really noticing spirit was when I was quite young. And for me, it wasn't so much in seeing spirit, but more in feeling spirit. And I know that this is so, so, so common. Like almost everybody you're ever going to meet has experienced feeling a spirit nearby, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it we are all souls, right? So we're naturally going to be attuned to that. It's when we start talking ourselves out of it and whatnot. So a lot of us experience this from a young age. And for me, it was like going into people's houses, certain houses I couldn't be in. It was way too overwhelming. It would come on in anxiety attacks from when I was young, like feeling anxious. And a lot of the time, that anxiety is going to spike for people because first you're scared from things you've learned, but also because when an energy like steps near you, your energy is kind of becoming accustomed to that feeling, right? And that may feel like your heart's fluttering, you may feel dizzy, like you're going to have all these physical kind of sensations take place. And I went and I had like an anxiety disorder for years that I was dealing with. Sure, anxiety is real, but it's also real that your body reacts to the
Yes.
energy that's coming close, right? So both can go hand in hand together. Um, but when I started like really experiencing spirit come all the time, I started seeing like faces in my mind's eye. For me, the clairvoyance started to get really strong. I'd always see spirit out of the corner of my eyes. You can see shadows, sparkles, whatever it is. Trust your instinct when you go and you walk into a room and you're like, there is somebody here. Know that you're not crazy. There is somebody there, right? And mediumship is all about trust. Without trust, you cannot do mediumship. So you don't trust the information. It literally is time and time again, trial and error of trusting what spirit is giving you, right? Having that confidence in what you know and not talking yourself out of it. So for me, clairvoyance was very strong too. Every night I'd go to bed. And this also made me think I was crazy, seeing face after face after face. Right. And I'm like, where are these faces coming from? Who are these people? Some of them would like morph into another face, and some of them could be a little startling, and some easy to see, right? So it's just
Right.
really interesting how your gifts start to unfold, and not before you're completely ready for it. You may find that you're strong in one clair, and then all of a sudden that clair kind of um I wouldn't say like mutes, but it kind of becomes more subtle, and then another clair can come in very strong, and now you start developing that clair a little bit. Maybe that's your more dominant clair for a little while, right? That's been my
Right.
experience in it. um Even like, going to bed and hearing with clairaudience in your head. Sometimes that's internal dialogue, and let me tell you, this is my least favorite clair for nighttime. This is my least favorite clair
I agree.
because
I would
it's
agree.
noisy. You kind of get like mixed messages, and you don't always understand exactly what's coming through the subconscious when you are,
Right.
especially when you're stressed. But like when I tell you, I've heard like a little girl saying like hello near my bedside, like that wasn't fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, no,
so
no, I get you. When you're talking about, your clairaudience and it always being, or your clairvoyance. What's really funny about that, not funny, but when mine actually, let me move this a little bit. When mine actually started ramping up, that's when I started noticing it, was when I was going to sleep. Right. I would close my eyes and I would just see one face. I'm like, the fuck is it? What is that going on? I would see faces or things or,
yeah,
whatever, and then I would go to sleep. And then it started with hearing it, seeing the face and then seeing them say something, or hearing hearing a train and then seeing it. It was a weird stuff like that. So, and some people that happens to them, they don't understand it. It's that spot between being awake and being asleep. It's a really interesting the way it starts working. But even now, that happens to me. Going to sleep at I sometimes I have to choose to say I don't want to see this tonight or hear this tonight. But another way I wanted to say about my clairvoyance. One of the ways that it really opened up was through meditation. Okay, and I know a lot of people don't like meditating, don't want to take whatever, and that's fine. Personal choices. You do you what makes you better. But for me, meditating always has been that one thing that elevates me to the next level. Right? It
yeah,
always has been. Um, and so one night I was meditating, and one of the very first visuals I saw was Isis, goddess Isis, right? And had I'd known who she was, but I'd never really dug into who she was. And I was wondering, what the heck is this about? So I kept seeing her over and over again, and then started realizing the relationship I had with her and working with her and healing and helping people and things like that. So I understood that, but I do feel that she helped open some of that up so that I could start seeing some of the things that I could. But meditation really, really did help me. Although it
and
was hard at first because I
yeah.
have ADHD, so it was hard to get my mind to calm down. But once I've figured it out, it's good. Which, by the way, I do have some ADHD meditations on my YouTube for those that have ADHD and want to meditate.
Don't
So
we
go
all
ahead.
have ADHD a little bit? I know I sure do.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so going into the meditation thing, here is why it's so important to do. And okay, wait, when I say it's so important, I find it very valuable. This is not true to everybody. Some people really don't feel the need to meditate, and that's okay. That doesn't mean that you cannot do this work. For me, I find it very important because it is one of the only times I can get out of my head. It is work. You have to train yourself to meditate. The first, like, dozen times I meditated, maybe I could go 2 minutes, 5 minutes, right? Like it takes time. It
Yeah,
is training
it
yourself.
does.
And the human mind is going to get excited at every vision, color, whatever you see, and it's going to pop you out of meditation, right? And then you have to bring yourself back to your breath, anchor back into that, right? So when you see people saying, "Oh, I had this really great meditation." It was not that we just like were able to come into meditation and instantly be an amazing meditator. You have to work at it, do 2 minutes, work your way up. If you can only do 2 minutes, that's 2 minutes of clarity where you tune in. Follow your breath when you're doing this, right? Feel how far down it goes, breathe and let it out. Let that anchor you into your power. And then just allow, you can set the intention beforehand to are you connecting with your soul? Are you connecting with your spirit guides? And ask them to join you in that space. And then you'll start to notice different impressions, whether it be colors, faces that pop in. Your mind's going to knock you out of it, bring yourself back, right? Like these are things you have to train yourself to do. But when you do, the clarity that comes from meditation that you cannot get in this noisy world, in my opinion, that's the only time that I can really quiet my mind. And I crave it like people crave exercise and water. It's like my mind needs that stillness.
No, and I agree. And I do want to add on, excuse me, to the meditation thing is that you can sit down to meditate for 20 minutes, right? And you only reach clarity or calm for 30 seconds. That's a successful meditation. Okay.
Hmm.
You reached it. You were there. Your mind quieted for 30, even at 2 seconds, right? It happened, right? And even if it didn't, it was still a successful meditation because you took the time to sit down to do it. And the longer you do it, the more intentional you do it, the better you're going to get at it. And have
Intentional is
uh,
key too. Yeah.
but intentional, yeah, but also expectations, right? Because a lot of people, when they go into meditation first, they expect to have this big booming voice and power clarity one of the first times, and everything is great, and the visuals are always good. And no, I mean that's not the case at all, right? It's more about getting you to a place where you can hear yourself before anything else, right? You can hear yourself, and then start hearing other things or whatever. So some people can, but I just want to put it out there and saying if you're not reaching that level, if you think I'm not meditating because I'm not receiving messages or my guides aren't talking to me or this or that, it doesn't mean you're not successfully meditating. It just takes time, unfortunately, sometimes.
Consistency. Over the summer, I've been so busy, right? And I haven't had time to do my regular meditations. I've gotten in a couple here and there, but it's crazy how when you stop being consistent with yourself and with, your own practice, that you sort of like regress on that. Like I feel like I have to restart trying to get myself back into meditation again because the mind is so busy. We're so busy with stressors in our lives and things going on that it's hard to shut down the human mind. But when I tell you there is no better feeling than having some stillness and being in the present moment, sometimes like we live in a world where everything is busy and there's constant information coming to us. But like to be able to learn how to quiet your mind is a blessing for real.
Yeah, it is. It really is. But also understanding that even if you can't meditate, there are other ways to do it, right? One of the things I tell people is, do what you can to center your mind. That's what meditating is, right? Even if that is taking 20 seconds or 20 minutes while washing dishes, right? And just going through the motions, but your mind is thinking something else. Or sometimes it happens automatically when you're driving, right? You leave your house and you get somewhere, and you're like, how the hell did I get here, right? You were you're cognizant enough to get there, right? But you don't remember it. That was a form of meditation. I'm not saying do that intentionally at all, but remember that you figure out how you can get into the zone. Sometimes it's not even being still. Sometimes it's doing art, sometimes it's drawing or writing or crocheting or whatever it is that you do. So don't think that you have to do it the way everybody else in order for you to be able to access things that you would like to. That's one thing, probably getting on a tangent here. That's one thing that's really, I'm finding really crappy about the spiritual community lately are all the rules that are now appearing about things that people do. Like I do it this way, so you can't do it way. And if you're doing that way, you're breaking a universal law of whatever. Okay. Or, you've got to do this and this before you get there. And I tell people all the time, take advice, see how other people do it. But in the end, it is your practice, it is your connection, it is what you are doing. So you do what you're led to do as long as it doesn't harm other people, right? Or yourself. You do what you need to do.
Another thing that actually was like so helpful for me in development was um, my mentor, Tara Diana, who we had on the podcast.
Yes.
She she really helped me with my confidence. I think that was one thing that I was really lacking. Was it wasn't my connection with spirit, it was my confidence in what I was bringing, like really just trusting in that. And one of the ways that I connect with spirit now that I didn't before was through um, automatic writing. So
Yes.
whenever I'm feeling stressed or like there's something I need to talk about, I say there's shadow work that I've been avoiding. I go and I put my hand over heart, ground my energy, and I ask my guides to come forward. And I grab out my little journal and I write down the question that I have, whatever the question is. It could be about my personal life, my spiritual journey, whatever it is that has been bothering me. And I just ask spirit to come forward and join me. And I just write. I don't think about what I'm going to write. I don't sit there and judge what I'm going to write. I just write. And often the information that you're going to get back that you learn about yourself or about your journey or whatever it is really powerful. And it's like you read back and you're like, I know that I did not write this. It wasn't Lara
Yep.
that wrote this. It's like you know that it's spirit coming through on paper and telling you exactly what you need to know. It's been one of the most profound ways that I get through my challenges now. It's one of my favorite ways to really connect to spirit.
I agree. Mine too. And I do it by myself, the same way, meditate, ask a question, write, start writing whatever comes through. And I know one of the questions I had when I first started doing it was, well, how do I do it? Do I just start writing or do I just wait for the pen to start? Are they going to take over it, whatever? And so the first thing I actually started doing was just writing different letters. I mean, not even making sense, just writing letters or whatever. And then when I got later into doing it, I would just start writing like what my opinion I thought of the answer to the question was. And every time I would go back and read at it and read it again. And about three sentences in, you can actually tell the way the writing changes that it's not just me anymore. Right. You can actually tell in what's coming in. Because it's basically saying, hey, you're dumbass for writing the first part. This is the truth, right? Or however it does. But I also use it in readings a lot when I do readings. Because the process of writing will clear up a lot of the channels sometimes that there are a lot of things trying to come in at one time. But also it's really weird that I can be giving somebody a channeled message and writing a different one down because it's two coming at the same time and they don't want me to forget this one, so I write it down. Or I will draw. I'll draw a picture or something. And what was really weird, I had a reading the other day that as I was talking, I just wrote down 333 and I had no idea. I was just okay, whatever. And as we were talking, literally 2 minutes after I did that, the person I was waiting for, she's like, "Yeah, I just keep seeing 333 everywhere." And it's just, and I'm just like, "Hold on." And I had showed her what I drew, and it was like one of those things that, okay, let's dig into this because apparently this is something. Okay, so it's really interesting to do it both ways. Though I have a lot of fun doing it. It's so much fun.
And it's really a practice of trust, right?
Yeah,
Because
it
you
is.
have to really trust yourself and you keep it private, keep it to yourself. You don't need to go air it out to everybody. That is a moment for you and your guides to sit and just explore it, right? Writing those things down.
But
Yeah,
you're right,
so
though. The key is having the confidence to do it. That's the big key. The confidence in yourself to believe that what's coming through is coming through.
yeah, and it's not one linear process to go through development. It is so many ups and downs, so much trial and error. You learn so much in the process of this about yourself, about people around you. So don't think that you need to do it exactly like you said by the rules of what other people think. We are just here to give you advice on our experiences. We're just giving you our opinions. It is by no means a way that you have to actually go through your development journey. You will always need to do what is best for you. And at the end of the day, there is no mentor in the world that is better for you than your spirit guides. So if I could tell you one thing, it is developing your relationship with your guides, right? And that's one that we neglect so easily. And it's maybe the most foundational part because when you
You know
are
what?
going, sorry?
Maybe that's something we need to talk about on the next podcast. How did we develop a relationship with the guides, and maybe how can people listening us how give us some tips on maybe how they can? Maybe that's
There
something
are
we need to look at.
times that you almost feel like you lose your relationship with your guides in moments of high stress when you're not connecting regularly. these things. Do not be confused. Your guides are not gone, right? But sometimes you need a minute to come back to that. They're never gone from you. You always get those signs. But I believe that a lot of my experience has been spirit wanting me to continue to come back to myself. So every time I start to stray off the path a little bit
Absolutely.
and I start to
Absolutely.
get into, the regular day to day and I get caught up in that, I have to find my way back to spirit again. And then I start to feel an alignment. I start to feel supported. So it's not that they're gone, but they're giving you the space to also find your way back to your own soul and to what feels good for you, right?
That's a really interesting point, because I think that's something that people go through at the beginning of their development, especially when they start connecting with their guides, right? They can channel them, they can hear them, they can interpret the signs, whatever it is. And then when it stops, they think, what did I do? Why aren't they here around anymore? Why can't I see anymore? And actually, anytime that's happened to me, 99% of the time, it has been them saying, it is time for you to trust yourself. Quit asking us for signs.
I've gone back to,
You need
yeah.
to trust that you're making the right decisions. You need to trust that your intuition is doing what it needs to do. Quit asking us for reassurance. And then
Like
I
your
build
faith
confidence
needs
of,
to be louder.
yeah. And so I build confidence a little bit more. And they're like, okay, here we go. Now let's continue. Right. And then it sometimes it is literally just getting you to start having the confidence and trusting yourself. But also, that's the point where a lot of people lose faith, right? We're like, well, I've done something, I've lost connection, so I'm not going to do it again. And so they never have the chance to go back and get back up to that point, right? So that's one reason, another why I wanted to mention that. If you're going through that, maybe one of the things that you should look at is they're trying to get me to trust myself. They're trying to get me to answer the answers that I get in my head.
And I've always said, I will always be real with you guys, right? Like, I will never give you some BS response that I have everything figured out or that, I am the perfect medium. I am me. I'm doing this as I feel, but there are times where even still, I struggle to connect with my guides at times. It's not that I don't trust that they're there, it's that sometimes we get in our own way, right? And sometimes we want the answers instantly, we want it figured out. But let me ask you, if spirit were to give us the answers to everything we needed, where would our growth be? If spirit were to fix our problems right at the start of the time that they happen, how would we learn the lessons that we came here to learn? Sometimes spirit's job is to, yes, help guide us, but also to sit back and know that like we need to kind of navigate those waters. We know we need to trust that they are there to support us, right? Spirit does come through, but they do not need to fix everything for us, right? And anyone that's going through saying that they have, the perfect relationship with their guides, they're the perfect medium, they never get anything wrong, I feel is lying to you because we are all human. We're all going to have doubts. We didn't come in this perfect, or we would already be a spirit guide. You
I
know
agree.
what I mean?
I agree. You know, it's very interesting that though, because also with spirit, giving you exactly what you want. Sometimes people don't understand that you're getting what you want. It's out there, but you keep sitting in one place waiting for it to come to you, and you've done nothing to step towards that target, right? I mean,
Mhm.
we can have all the knowledge in the world about what's coming to us, but if we just sit back and don't do anything ourselves in the real world to go towards that goal, then we're not helping ourselves, right? And what I mean by that are things like manifesting. A lot of people are fantastic at they
Yeah.
manifest and shit comes in, right? But there are people that try it and they say, I keep doing it, nothing comes in. Well, ask yourself the question again. Am I manifesting and then sitting on my couch and waiting for the money or the man or the whatever to show up at my door? Because if that's the case, I mean, and it doesn't take, going out and getting a new job or whatever. All it takes is, in my opinion, breaking the routine that you had when you didn't have it, right? Like maybe with
Right.
rather than sitting on the couch, right? Go outside and sit on the bench or something. I mean, just small changes in what you're doing can start bringing what you want into it. But sometimes you just can't sit back and wait for it to come to you, right?
And manifestation, I believe, is there are certain things that come into that divine timing. So just like you can manifest something and it may not arrive for a year, two
Yeah,
years, right? Because maybe it's not the right timing. Maybe you're not the version of yourself that you need to be yet to receive that. Maybe your belief systems are not right for accepting that at that moment, but you're working through it. So there are all these things. But number one, I think, is actually embodying the person that deserves these blessings to come in.
yeah,
Right. So that's one thing I've learned about manifesting is you need to really believe that not only do you deserve it, but it is coming in for you. No, and you need to act as the person that would receive this. If you're the person that is a couch potato and crying on your couch and being like, why am I not getting this great blessing of all this money coming in, but you're doing nothing to make money? I mean, I don't know. I don't maybe professional manifestors are going to come for me for this, but I don't believe you're going to get it. I don't believe but those are my belief systems. And maybe that's exactly why I'm not receiving the lottery. You know what I mean? But you need, in my opinion, to embody what it is that you want. Act the
no,
part.
I agree. I
Fake it
agree.
till you make
Be- Because I mean, honestly, a lot of times what's keeping our manifestations in, or even if they're not manifestations, even if it's just whatever, are just the blocks we put on ourselves. Not necessarily limiting beliefs or whatever. It's just the fact that we don't think we can do it. I mean, we've never had the experience, right? We've never, like I know, like in my family, we've never had a lot of money. So if I keep saying that, I'm never going to, right? Because I told myself that that's just the way it is. So thinking differently about it and saying, well, they didn't, but I'm going to one day, right? So, it isn't about manifesting. It's just about trying to see, and God, this sounds, I'm going to say pathetic. It sounds pathetic and love and light and all of that, but which I am. But it's just trying to see the positive in every negative, right? It's just trying to be able to, you know, at least I woke up today type of mentality. Okay. And some people, I'll say that to them like, oh, but am I really happy I woke up? And then I'm like, okay, well, you're in that mood. You do that. I'm going to keep doing my thing. But it- manifesting and bringing things in and changing your life, it it really is just one small mindset change at a time. And I would not tell people this if it hadn't happened for me. If it hadn't happened for me changing my mindset. Now, I'm not a millionaire by means. I'm not out there teaching people how to manifest or selling courses for it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying this is what's helped for me. It's made my life easier and less stressful to just live the way that I think I should be living, even if my mind thinks I can't afford it. Right. And that doesn't, okay, when I say that, and some people will be like, well, how are you living like you afford it if you can't afford it? Right. The thing is, before I was living the same exact way I was now, but every day I was dwelling on how much I can't afford to have a better life. Right. Where now I live on the same type of thing, but I'm saying, hey, I'm having a great time today. That's all that matters. When more money comes, it comes. That's the
Yeah.
difference. And each day it
Gratitude.
gets a little bit better. I mean, yeah, gratitude. Sure. Yeah, that works. It's great. But sometimes it's not even just about gratitude. It's about just realizing that this is the realistic thing. You can't, I'm sorry, I'm gonna say you can't. I can't wallow in my own self-pity of depression because I don't have what I want when I'm not making the steps to get it. So it's just being real with yourself, with me especially, and saying, yeah, you're very bright spiritually, you're connected, but you're also a little bit lazy sometimes. So get off of your butt and make things happen. And so just a realistic that's why I am who I
I
am.
love that point
And
of
you know,
view.
what can I say?
Yeah. No, I completely agree with you. And I think that I've shared already, we've seen some of my limiting beliefs during this conversation, right? Um, yeah, we don't have everything figured out, but this is just a small tidbit of the things that I've been learning and trying to implement in my current life. Yeah, it's hard sometimes to stay in alignment. It's hard sometimes to manifest. It's hard because, life can be difficult. You are experiencing so many different things, so many different people's emotions in your day to day life. We have just stressors that it's hard to pull yourself out of that. But these are some of the ways that have helped us get some perspective and show us how we want to show up in the world. And that's one of the things that has been so important to me is how do I want to show up in the world? Not what do I want people to see me as or know me as, but what kind of person do I want to be? Every time I get up, how do I want to make an impact in this world? And that is a lot of the ways that, or a lot of the reasons why we do this podcast is, do we get rich off of it? No. But do we enjoy to do it and to give people something to listen to that they can think on and get ideas? Yes, you don't have to do live life the way we say, but if it helps you even a little bit in learning what it is that you are desiring, then we came here and we did our job. That's what we want to do, is to show up in the world intentionally in a way that helps people. And it can be exhausting, but being as real as we can, especially in a time where everything is so fabricated online, right? Like you see everybody living these lavish lives and doing, we've talked about this, right? Doing things and projecting like they live a perfect existence with lots of money and all of this. And that's great for them if that works. But I'm here to be real and myself and share my thoughts with you. So, yeah, where'd he go? I don't hear him.
I had it
Are you
on
muted?
mute because they were mowing outside, so I didn't want people to hear that. But no, I was just saying that great conversation today. I think it went really well for us.
I think we'll leave it at that for today. We do have a special guest joining us in the next few weeks, and it's going to be an amazing conversation. So we hope to have you
Really
guys
amazing.
tuning in some more. Let us know what you think of the podcast. We always love when you guys message us and tell us what episode resonated with you. So, yeah, thank you guys so much for listening, and we're happy to be back.